Hey guys, it's Dan at Paint and Play. So I'm on the way to school today, and I figured I had 15-20 minutes. I'd make a little bit of a video, maybe called, I don't know, Sit and Paint and Play's history, I guess. So basically, I'm just going to talk a little bit about myself and my gaming experience, how I got involved with gaming, things like that, just to let you guys know a little bit more about me, maybe some of the knowledge that I have available to me. So back in, when did I play my first game? Back in 2000, the winter of 2011, I was going to college, and I lived with some guy that was my manager of the hamburger place that I worked at. I was fresh out of high school, and I don't know. I had a buddy that played D&D with his brother, and they're like, hey, we should get a game started, and he talked about it all the time, and I was really always interested in the Elder Scrolls series, Fallout, even though that's post-apocalyptic and not fantasy. I guess it doesn't matter. I've always been into RPGs. Legend of Zelda, it's technically an action RPG. That was the very first one that I ever played, Ocarina of Time. Played Elder Scrolls, Fallout, played various video games here and there, and then there was, so that's just a little bit of the video game history. That's how I got started into RPGs, and then I moved in with Anthony that fall of 2011 to start going to school out there, and then there was a game store literally like a mile and a half down the road from where I lived, and Colton and his brother had never really gotten a game started. So I was like, oh man, I really, really want to play, and I'm really interested. And right before I graduated high school, I had bought a player's handbook because I was just super stoked about it. So I bought a player's handbook and was reading through it and writing up my own characters and stuff like that. I didn't have character builder or anything, so I actually had to put time and effort into researching my character. And down the street was that little shop, so I went on in there one day and I was like, hey, when do you guys play D&D? And they were like, hey, it's on Wednesday nights, and lucky you, we just started a new league or a new adventure or whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. So I was like, that's perfect. So I went ahead and jumped in as a I believe my very first character I ever drew up was a halfling rogue, because I was always about being sneaky and being, the guy that kind of solved everybody's issues from the shadows, in a way, I guess. So, it was this cool epic adventure. We all met in this little town, and I think there was a pirate, some sort of necromancer doing something, and he was summoning some sort of evil dragon of some sort. Typical, plain and dry cut Dungeons and Dragons story. There's an evil wizard, he's summoning some sort of dark evil creature, and yada yada. We went through all these swamplands and all this crazy stuff, and it was so much fun, and I loved it. So after that semester was over, I moved back home because I couldn't afford to live with Anthony anymore. And he was going downhill pretty fast. So I moved back home, and I kind of really stopped playing D&D. Immediately after those first 8 to 10 sessions that I played with those guys up at that shop, I really didn't play anymore. I played here and there when I could. If my little brother and his friends were playing advanced Dungeons and Dragons, so I had to kind of relearn the game a little bit, the THAT-go, all that stuff. So I played with them once or twice. It was okay. They were kind of immature, everything was silly and goofy, and then you know, I don't know, like it just wouldn't, they wouldn't stay on track with the story. So come 2000, oh gosh, what was that, 2013, 2014-ish, so a couple of years back. So it was 2013. I found out that there was a local gaming store in the next town over from where I live. It's about 30 minutes away. So I was like, I really don't want to drive that, but I'll go ahead and give it a try. So I was like, hey, Jonah, you know, my next youngest brother, I was like, hey, you want to go with me? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. So we showed up on the night that they played D&D, and we went in the basement. And it's a quaint little shop. It's nice. At the time, it was way worse than it is now. I think it's in much better condition now. They've remodeled. I think their business has gone up. They've kind of banned, like they used to have like whole hordes of people hanging out smoking cigarettes like right in the front door. So like the whole front entrance of the store smelled like smoke, but they've banned that now. And it was just a little different. So we were like, okay, this is kind of weird. So we get there, and the guys start showing up, and they're like, hey, you're the new kids, you know, here's some preset characters. And it was those 4th edition preset character cards that came like if you were one of like a DM that did it regularly, that was part of the DM club or whatever that was, where you got like the special for like whatever, how much a month you pay to them, they send you a box of stuff so you can run an adventure, and it has preset characters and stuff. So this gave us a couple of characters, and we played a little bit, and it was all right. But the guys that were in our group were so off topic that we really didn't get anything done, like the 2 times we went up there and played. So that kind of like murdered that for me. So I was like, you know what, I don't know if I want to play D&D anymore, because everybody that I seem to play with is just always so off topic, and it's always so frustrating. So the last time that we're in there, I walk in, so there's the right side of the store, which is the actual store part, and then it used to be separate. It was a separate building, and you walked in on the left side of the store, it was a big long hall, and there was a bunch of tables in there with a bunch of guys all the time, but I never went on that side. Now they've knocked out a hole in the wall, and it's 2 things in one, and it's really nice. But so I walked around on the other side, and I opened the big glass door, and I walked in, and I saw all these models all over the table. I'm like, what the heck? What are these guys playing? And I was like, what is this? And they're like, this is Warhammer 40K, and like as if I was stupid or something. And I was like, whoa, you know, I was totally excited about it. And obviously, like every single freaking person, Space Marines, I mean, you see them and you're like, bam, those guys are awesome. Those are the guys I want. You know, they seem like they have the biggest guns and the most armor. They're just as intense as it gets. Those guys are sick. So, definitely was like excited about those guys. So, what did I do? I'm pretty sure I was like, all right, cool, well, that's awesome. So I popped around back to the other side of the store, and I went in to like look at the price range, and I was like, okay, this can't be too bad. The little plastic guys. Was I wrong? Turns out that just to get, you know, I found out you need to buy an HQ and at least 2 squads of troops. And they showed me the tactical squads. You know, this is what you need to buy. If you're gonna buy an HQ, you know, get a librarian or a captain or something like that. I was like, okay, no big deal. So I went ahead to go and buy in there and buy those, and I realized I was gonna have to spend like upwards of, like, you know, let's see, I think attack squads 25, 30, and then like a librarian or something's going to be about 15, roughly 15, 12, 15. So I was going to have to spend like 60, 70 bucks, or even 80 bucks just to get started. And I was like, I don't have that right now, because the job that I had at the time, I was working at a gym, because I'd quit the hamburger place after I moved out with Anthony. And this was a little later, so I had gotten a new job at this gym, and they only let me work 4-hour shifts. So I worked every night. I worked like 6 days a week, but 4-hour shifts, only $7. You know, I was only making like 100, 150 bucks a check. So I was like, you know, and that's like every 2 weeks. So, I'm looking at this going, that's going to eat up a week's worth of work, just right there, just gone. So I was like, oh crap. Well, maybe later. So time went on and yada yada, and I had been saving up my money and doing whatever, and I had started reading more into Warhammer a little bit more, 40K specifically. And I found out you could buy your stuff cheap online, like if you go on eBay. So I was like, all right, well, I'll go ahead and go online and check that out. So I went on, got on eBay, and started looking at stuff, and I was like, hey, I can get a tactical squad for $10 on here. And, hey, I can get that librarian guy for $8 on here. So I was like, all right, cool. So maybe I can make this happen. So I went ahead and started looking around. What did I do? Oh, I found a Assault on Blackreach was my very first, was where I started. I am kicking myself in the teeth now because I should have just kept that box. I tore up the box and threw it away. I sold off the orcs, and now I'm just like, God bless, I can't, it's worth so much more. So if you get those box sets, keep them. You'll never know. Warhammer's like one of those things, if you buy something, keep it, because you might use it. You never know. I mean, if it's gonna be something dumb, like, I don't know, something you might not use. I don't know. Everything's pretty usable, but you never know what you're gonna come across that you'll be like, oh man, I wish I had that. No, because that's part of, especially with the new formations now, you'll be like, I wish I would have kept that because it's part of this formation, and I would have gotten this bonus. So now I have to turn around and buy another one for $35 or whatever. So definitely hang on to those. But I bought those, and I asked my little brother Jonah. I was like, hey, do you want to play, this Warhammer game with me? He was like, all right, I guess I'll try. I'll paint my own model. So I went and bought him all the paints for the orcs. I was like, you paint them, and you can play with them as much as you want, but I'll own them. And he was like, oh, okay, that's fine. So he never got around to painting them. They literally sat in a baggie in his room for like 2 months, and I was like, you know what, he's not going to do this. So I grabbed him and took him back in my room before I was worried that he was going to screw him up. So in the Blackreach set, you get tactical squad. What do you get? You get tactical squad, I think. Yeah, a captain, tactical squad, a Terminator squad, and a dreadnought, I think. It was a pretty stinking good deal for like $100. I mean, dreadnought's what? 30, tactical squad's 30, Terminator squad's 60, I think. So you're at like 120 right there, and then a captain's going to cost you about another $12. So just one side of the Space Marines army is going to pay for itself. And so anyways, goodness gracious, I'm sorry. So I bought those guys. I painted them up as Ultramarines because, that was like, you see Ultramarines, and for some reason everybody just seems to be pulled into those guys. So I painted them up, and I took them to my local shop, and I played with them like 8 times. And then I had a girlfriend at the time. We were getting more serious, so I was more concerned with, at the time, focusing on maybe getting married, stuff like that. And I was going to school, and a whole bunch of stuff just got in the way, so I pretty much just stopped playing. And it had been like 6 months since I had played. I bought a Shrike, and I painted him up because I liked the way someone did up one of his guys. I really wish I could have kept that guy because I did a really good job on that guy. I spent like probably almost a week and a half painting just that one model. Like every little engine detail I was focused on. So that's what I did with all that. And and then I was like, you know what? This game, I love it, but I don't think I'm gonna play anymore. because, you know, my girlfriend was like, come on, you need to grow up, and we need to get focused on buying a house and stuff. I was like, okay, you know, just bowing my head, being a dinkus, not, you know, you gotta kind of live for yourself a little bit every once in a while, because if you don't, then you're just gonna end up resenting somebody. But so I went ahead and sold them all off, and I sold them for dirt cheap. Like, I sold probably the Captain for $3. No, I'm sorry, I lied. I kept the Captain because he wasn't selling, and I kept the Dreadnought because it was the very first model I ever painted. That was the model I was most excited about. So I actually still have that model. But I sold off the Tac Squad for like $10. I sold the Terminators for $10. I sold all the whole Orc set for like $20. And I didn't realize like what I was really throwing away at the time. So I was now I'm like really kicking myself about it. So that was that, and I went on for a really long time, and just this last year, probably the January of 2014, like right after Christmas, I was like, you know what, I miss having a hobby, I miss having something to do. So I went ahead and I started looking around at Marines again, because I was like, that's my, you know, my home plate, that's what I know. Shoot, I might as well play what I know. And so I looked around, looked into it, and I went ahead and bought some Marines. So there was like a guy who sold me like 40 Tac Marines for super cheap. I bought 2 squads of 2 Terminators. I bought a Land Raider, of course. Who doesn't love a Land Raider? And then I couldn't find. I wanted Whirlwinds really bad, and I don't know why, because they're decent. Like, they have a new squad rule if you have a squad of 3 of them. I think they get shred and pin, I think, or maybe that's the Manticores. Anyways, regardless, I bought one from Games Workshop, and I screwed up my order. I don't know how I did it, but they never sent one to me. Like, they sent it to me, but it never arrived. And so I like called their support line. I was like, hey, you know, this is my order number. I never got it. It's been like 3 weeks now. What's the deal? You know, 3-4 weeks. What's the deal? And they're like, oh, okay, sorry, we had a mix up, and we'll get it sent to you now. All right. So like 2 weeks later, 2 boxes show up on my doorstep. Turns out the first one got rerouted and shipped to the right place, and then they sent me the other one. So I got one for free. I was like, sweet. So that kind of helped make the whole thing better. But so I have all that. And then I was like satisfied with that, so I painted all those guys up, took them out, and I was like, all right, I'm ready to play. And this was like, you know, 2-3 months later after I painted everything, and I walk into a local shop, like not the same one, the original one I played at, but a different one that's on a different side of town, and it was close to where I lived at the time. And I'll tell you what, I was mad. Everybody was playing War Machine. I mean, everybody was playing War Machine. And I was like, so when do the 40K players show up? And they were like, well, they don't. No one plays 40K anymore, dude. Sorry. And we actually really honestly don't even support it here anymore. We're selling off all of our product and then focusing more on, you know, this and a few of like these other games that were out, like Malifaux, you know, whatever. You know, X-Wing, I think, was just coming out at the time. Or like some expansions for it had. But like, we're more focused on this. We're going to keep some of our 40K stuff, obviously, like our codexes and a few like simple starter packs. But outside of that, no one really plays it anymore, so we don't really host tournaments or anything. So I was like, all right, well, whatever. I don't even want to, you know, I'm not even going to associate with you guys then. And so I went home and I was crushed. I was really crushed, because I was like, dude, I just turned around and spent like $150, almost $200 on all this stuff. Took hours and hours of my time to paint it all up, and no one even plays anymore. So then I got the bright idea. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna solve this my way. because I don't want to turn around and sell my stuff and then I want to play again. I'm always going to want to play. So I turned around and I was like, what's the next army I want to buy? And I was like, you know what? Matthew from Mini Wargaming has Tyranids, and they always rock. They always do a solid job. They're always so cool, and they're it's kind of like the classic clash of Ultramarines versus the Tyranids, like the Tyranid invasion of McCrag. So I was like, you know what? I'll go ahead and look into this. So I bought the whole starter set for on the Tyranid side of the Leviathan box set, I think, with the Gene Stealers, the Termagants, Gene Stealers, Broodlord, something else. And then I went ahead and bought Tervigon, brand new, because I couldn't find one at a reasonable price. And then I bought a Biovore, but it was a metal Biovore, and I didn't know it at the time. I was still learning about buying them on eBay and stuff. I was so mad about that. But I bought that, bought some more S'more mines, and yeah, so, and then I painted all those suckers quick. Then I bought a Carnifex too, but I haven't painted him yet. So I have Tervigon and that stuff, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna learn to play, you know. And then I'm going to teach my girlfriend how to play, and maybe she'll play with me every once in a while. So since then, we've played a couple games, and it's been good fun. But I really recently haven't gotten back, and then I stopped there for a long time, for like another 3 or so months, because I painted both my armies, and they were both complete. I made a diorama for them, so they sit up on that. Maybe I'll take a picture of it one day. It's not crazy good looking or anything, but I mean, it's literally like a shoebox that I cut a jagged hole out of with some smoke coming out of it, and I made a crater out of like toilet paper and glue and spray paint, and like I made some vehicle destroyed markers and put them out there so they're like smoke rings, and then there's like a defensive line and a trench, but it's not whatever. But I actually had to break it down to move it out of the apartment that we were in at the time. So all's well that ends well. That's coming up close on where we're at now of this year, and this year I really started being more cautious on what I spent, because I changed jobs, so I don't make as much as I did, so I can go back to school, because I have more time now, and yeah, so we're pretty much at where I'm at now. I started making videos about a month or two ago for you guys. Just this last like 2-3 weeks, I've really been looking into Age of Sigmar. I honestly will not buy anything for that, probably for a couple, unless I get stuff for Christmas or my birthday. I won't be able to afford any of that stuff, so that stuff will have to wait for now. So I'll be doing a lot of, instead of doing like battle reports and stuff like that, I'll squeeze those in once in a blue moon when I go up to the shop and play. But outside of that, you know, do what you can. So anyways, that's kind of my play history. You guys are kind of here. That's how far I've gotten now. Currently I am painting up my orcs. My Astra Militarum honestly needs to be completely stripped. I stripped the Chimera for that, but outside of that, and I fixed up my Lehman Russ, but I kind of like the way it already is. I might add like some more textural detail to the paint, because it's kind of a bland paint job. But outside of that, so I'm just working on getting everything painted for now. Whenever I'm done with each army, with the amount of stuff that I have now, I will do a showcase. Whenever I move here, coming later this year, closer to May, I will pull all my stuff out and do a showcase for you guys of everything. So anyways, guys, hope you guys enjoyed getting to know me a little bit more and my history of wargaming and my RPG and gaming experiences and stuff like that. So as the years go on, I will post new games that I play, get up battle reports, show you all the new stuff that I'm into, and just kind of show you what's going on with Sit Paint and Plays Wargaming. So, anyways, you guys have a good day. I gotta get to class. See you later.